sing to me too.
Long ago.
Yes, that's better.
And there's the story. Now I know. When we kissed, I knew you loved me. With that kiss, you told me so. There was magic. Now I know. Won't you please say how you feel since I found you out? Tell me that your love is real. Or is there any doubt? Let your heart speak as it may. Let me hear what it would say. Just confess it. Don't suppress it. Now I know. Now I know. Just confess it, don't suppress it. Now I know.
Robert, did you pick up the telephone? Who's this on this table?
Thank you. Wow, Robert. My goodness. Oh. Thank you, Robert. My goodness. Wow.
This is that surprise you get. Yeah, this is great. This is absolutely great.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. When I went
This right here.
Van, there's a phone up here. There's a phone right there. Is that yours?
I'll see you tomorrow. Get against Robert. Put the other hand out.
What's the last name again, ma'am?
All right, you should have given me something that I can use. What time is it?
time to go home.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
If anyone wants to go back to the Mayfair now, I will be happy.
This goes opposite. I'll be up. This cruise in opposite. I'll be up all night. This cruise in backwards, man.
No, this is from the Reeds.
I'll be up all night.
Where is it? No, Reed.
See you, man.
I'll be up all night.
Oh, it's a putter. I thought it was a pool cue. I thought it was a pool cue. Beautiful.
Who wants to go back to the Mayfair right now? Come on out here so I know how many people are here.
Live marks on it. I would be so hot. I don't know what he's thinking.
Joe, tell them the story about how
If I may.
Not speaking to him.
My name is Melba Huber, and I'm from McAllen, Texas, and for 12 years I've written a tap column for Richmond, New York Magazine, and now I write a tap column for the Dancer publication, which is a dancer's newspaper. And I have a big studio in Texas, and tap is my love and my passion, and I just think that what Robert Reed is doing for tap is so wonderful, and the fact that he is bringing all these friends together and uniting them in not just classes, but in a reunion. Many of them haven't seen each other, and it's historical. Each one of them, I've written about almost all of them stories at different times, and they could each talk for an hour, and we would love every minute. But in order to include everyone on our dances are always falling, you know. In order to include everyone, we thought we would just like to ask a little capsule of something that you might want to contribute so that we can hear from each of you. And what I would like to ask you is something about your inspiration in dance, whether it was an event or a person or a family member, what encouraged you, and perhaps at what moment you decided that you really wanted to dance or make a career of dance, or anything along those lines that you might want to share with us. And we have so many wonderful people here. I think I'd like to start with Faye Ray. She's a silver bell.
Faye Ray, very good.
And one of the stories I wrote when I interviewed and spent quite a bit of time with Honey Coles up at Oklahoma City, he said, Melba, you should write a story about Faye Ray. She has done it all. She has traveled all over the world. And so I did. So let's start out with Faye Ray. Stand up.
I don't know what you want me to tell them, except
How you started.
how I started.
Yes.
Leonard Reed gave me a job when I was a teenager in Detroit, Michigan. He said, "Can you dance?" I said, a little. He said, "Come up here." I got on the stage, and he said, "Can you do this?" And he did it, his style. I like this. I did exactly what he did.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly what he did.
Yeah. He turned around, he looked at the rest of them, he said, "This girl's a bitch." I got the job. He said, "I never say anything about it. I don't have to. The whole world knows it." Leonard Reed, he did it all. He did it all. Sing, dance, write songs, play music. He didn't stop. And I enjoyed every
He wrote
bit of it.
numbers too.
No one like him. No one. Nowhere. And if you wanted me to talk about him, I could stay up here all night long telling you the stuff on him. He's still my friend. And I
Say no
thought
more, say no more.
And now we have beautiful coach. Yes.
Well, mine won't be as comical as my partner, but my inspiration was my mother. She was a ballroom dancer, used to hang out, well, we say, used to attend the dances at the Savoy Ballroom and the Renaissance Ballroom and whatever ballroom we had in Harlem. And she'd come home and teach my sister and I how to do the steps. And when I became a teenager, I proceeded to hang out at the Savoy Ballroom and the Renaissance Ballroom and the Dunbar and the Alhambra, wherever. That's how I got started in business. I wound up being a Lindy hopper.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Talk about it, man.
I'm gonna talk about it.
Tell them about it.
Yeah, I was inspired by a group called Third Generation Steps that was originated from the four stepbrothers. Macio's not here. Where's Macio?
Yeah.
What's it?
Me.
Macio's one of the original famous four stepbrothers, and he had this group called the Third Generation
A
Steps.
little bit louder, man.
I'm sorry?
A little bit louder so they
Can you hear me back there? No. Too bad. No, what I said, I know what it is. What it is. What it is. I was inspired by a group called the Third Generation Steps, originated from the four stepbrothers, Mr. Maceo Anderson. Again,
The one in front of you.
Maceo? Prince was one of the four stepbrothers. You know, they did flash. They did this kind of huh?
They can tap dance.
They can tap dance?
Amen. They can clap. They can tap dance.
Paul, I know you live. Well, anyway, when I saw this group, I mean, they were doing like flips, splits, everything in rhythm, you know. And one thing, when I started with Maceo, it was in Las Vegas, Nevada. The first step I learned was an over the top. Do we know what an over the top is? Yeah. Man, what this over the top has taken me every place. And Maceo used to say, I mean, when we got with some of the good dancers that were doing like, Maceo told me and Rob, this is when I met Rob in Las Vegas, Nevada. Maceo said, you let him come on stage, you let him, you just do a over the top, bam!
Yeah, we say, Mason, how many times you turn it out when you do that flip? You go,
but you know something? No matter if it was one flip or two flip, it worked. It always stopped the show. You know? And then so that was kind of like my start. Then on to that, I auditioned for the movie Tap, and then I had a chance to meet all this. And so then I know I was truly blessed, and that's when I met Jimmy and quite a few others. And Jimmy, I know, just doing my over the top, Jimmy always just said, hey, try it this way. I do this over here. Move this way. You know, and what I like is this man didn't even know me, but he just took an interest in me, you know, and I really appreciate it. Now, of course, along the way, Lady Di was always there giving me words of inspiration, you know, and Paul, Charlie, Prince.
Not me.
Let's see with Charlie always has something good to say. When I see Charlie, I say, hey Charlie, how you doing? Charlie takes a look at you up and down like this. How you doing, buck dancer? Well, if it's not buck dancers, how you doing? Dust Bowl. Because I'm from Las Vegas, so they consider that to be like a desert, you know. But I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to be with all this.
120 degrees in this shit.
Oh, not yet. We want to get through everybody. Well, let's see. Let's move to Lady Di.
dancer
Extraordinary.
from Boston.
Where is that?
In Australia.
That's about it. No, but you know, I've said my story so many times, and you all know me. If I get started to talking, I'm going to talk and talk and talk and talk. So,
We're going to start.
well,
But you can't stop her if she just.
Let us start.
Okay,
I just,
all right.
there's
Yeah.
a couple of things that I'd like to say. One is just this, that I'm not going to go into all the particulars. I'm just going to tell you that I'm very happy to be here. I'm very, very happy to be with the people on this panel that have meant so much to me, because this is what it's all about. This is where it's all come from. This is what it means to me, and I've told you that I think you can just see it in my face. If you watch me, you can see it in my face. I like being at these kinds of functions, and particularly to be with the people that I admire and respect so much in the business. Just makes me happy. And then when I look out and I see LA, North Carolina, Seattle, Chicago, Detroit, and all you young kids, all you kids up in here together, it just fills my heart and makes me feel real good, and I'm just real happy that I'm on the track and that I'm contributing something, and
Don't forget
that's
Germany.
it. And, Germany and Israel.
Israel.
And France.
Right.
Yeah, you see? In Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Pittsfield, in the house. And it's just so nice. It's just all good. I'm just filled with a lot of good feeling, and my face will start to hurt after a while because I'm smiling so much. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy.
Harry, and I'm the tap legend in Austin, Texas, is A.C. Gray, and I'd like to hear a little bit.
Well,
Yes, step forward.
I am honored to be here. Thank you so much. Where'd he go? Robert. Thank you, Robert, for inviting me to be here. I am overjoyed. I actually started my percussive career as a drummer when I was about 8 years old. And in and around high school and college, I was an actress. And to become a triple threat, I started tap dancing. And I didn't necessarily become that triple threat and get paid for it, but I've been tap dancing ever since. It is a love of mine that I cannot trade for anything else. And I'm with Diane. The relationship between those of us in this business is so important. And just that camaraderie and that the communication as people, it comes through your feet, guys. You got to know how to communicate with your feet. You have to know how to speak with them. It's not about what the steps you know. It's not the steps. It's about what you're saying. And it took me a long time to understand that. And it's incredible. And my life completely changed when I met many people, but of that list, Honey Coles changed my life. Jimmy Slide changed my life. Along with the wonderful Sarah Petronio. Brenda Buffalino changed my life. Diane Walker has changed my life, whether she realizes or not. It's about communication. Tap dance is communicating with each other, and I hope that that goes on for eternity. Thank you.
Somebody mentioned Diane Walker. Diane Walker. Diane, watch out of the way. I'm looking for Diane Walker. Diane Walker.
Wait, I have to tell
I've got a
you.
message for you.
Wait, we're trying. Somebody said Diane when I met Fred Kelly. They said, Diane, they set us up in a restaurant, and I joined a party late, and Fred was sitting there holding court, talking to everybody, and the joke for the evening was, watch Diane try to get a word in with Fred Campbell, Diane who can talk, right? And I met my match that night. Fred talks more than me.
Most important thing if you want to be a dancer, don't miss a meal. You don't believe it, this is for real.
Oh,
thank God
That's
it's a
Fred
chair.
Kelly.
We have a wonderful brother and sister team from Los Angeles, and their mother was one of the first teachers of Diane Walker. That's the way the tap legacy goes, and their mother just recently celebrated her 50th, over 50th anniversary in the dance world. And we'd like to hear a little bit from Paul Kennedy first. And
I want to say that the first time that I knew I really was going to dance was when I first heard the first applause. And the lights were on me at 3 years old. I knew at that time that my life was going to be in this arts, and I've been dancing ever since. So I've had the wonderful opportunity of teaching for 45 years and touching so many young people's lives and children's lives and adults' lives that were moved to the spirit of our movement. And throughout those years, I have come in contact and fell in love with all these artists and who are lending and have lent their talents and their conversations of their experiences that has helped to keep the teachers continuing. You see, because as long as we can turn on television or buy a ticket to a concert or go to a club, then we get a new idea, a new inspiration, a new movement that we take and try to reinvent for you, the new student, before you get to them. So that was my love, and it still is. Thank you.
To be honest, I don't think that I really wanted to dance. I was born into it, and I just did. And then I found out it was in the blood, that you just had to go on, to go forth with it.
To stay in our house. You had to dance, huh?
But then there was a point in my life when I knew that it was right. And that's when I was touring Europe as a dancer, and just, I had a dancing career. And then even more so as a dance teacher, because it's showing me that each generation, I was saying to somebody today, each generation is smarter, younger. And just to watch how each generation grows up, it's amazing what I'm doing with 3-year-olds right now. And so I see that they're already going to be smarter than the 10-year-olds that I have right now. And so it's really, you know, just encouraging, it's a blast, and I'm enjoying it.
Visiting with Pascal Hewlin, and he told me that he started his tap workshop or seminar in Vienna with $1.
Festival. Yeah, if you don't know me, I come from France. I live in Vienna. I represent European tap dancers.
You don't sound French.
And it was a crazy idea in January. Now we have in Europe our major tap festival. We had 120 students coming from over 15 nations, and we performed like in the Viennese Opera. Kurt was there, and it's very good. Now we have our own festival in Europe, a big one. Alors, you know, I travel also all over the world before I came. Thank you, Robert, for the invitation to teach here. And I make a lot of promotion for tap dancing. In United States, it's your culture is different. You're born with tap shoes. But when you go to the north of Norway, you know, with ice bears and things like this, they don't know tap dancing. You have to explain. I was in Shanghai. You have to explain what is really tap dancing. It's not so easy. Enfin voilà, I'm a big fan of tap. I have a tap museum also in Vienna. I'm preparing exhibition. I'm really, and I can tell you, because of tap, I lost a lot of girlfriends. You know, they say it's too much. You always talk about tap. You move your feet in the night always. You know. I said I cannot change it.
And in Las Vegas, Henry Latang.
Originally, I'm from New York. All my life. The last 7 years, I'm in Vegas. But what I wish that you kids could see is the dancing that I saw. Because I was, what am I, 84? So I saw a lot of dancing, Bubbles, Bill Robinson. And if you could only see, you know of the Nicholas brothers, but if you could only, I just wish you could see what I saw that I learned from. Because at least in those days they would, hey kid, let me show you how to take a bow. Let me show you how to walk on stage. Let me show you, let me show you, let me show you. And it's great that our gang is doing that today with you kids. Because your turn is gonna come. When you have to say, hey Mary, hey Johnny. So just carry the ball, just pass it on, okay? Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to be here. Matter of fact, at my age, I'm very glad to be anywhere. Please let me have you can see that I have a lot of help up here. Until we get paid, and then I get lost from all of them. I had a very short life in show business. Because most of it was tap dancing. And they shortened it up for me around 1960. And it said, if you want to eat, you better find yourself another job. Because there ain't no place for you. I was working with one of America's greatest tap dancers ever, Mr. Honey Cole. Thank you very much. Honey and I decided we better try to find some other things to do, and if tap dancing never came back, we would get back together. But in the meantime, Honey took a job at Apollo as the production manager, and I started teaching vocal groups how to do tap dance steps without taps. And organized that particular new phase of choreography called vocal choreography. And I went along with Motown for about 8 years, which I had choreographer for all of their top groups, the Supremes, Temptations, Gladys Knight and the Pips. I can go on and on, there's 20 and 30 of them. Then this young lady right here made me put my tap shoes back on. So I was fortunate enough to choreograph 3 of the major specialty numbers in the hit Broadway show, Black and Blue, which I won the Tony along with Mr. Latang, Mr. Manning, and Mr. Fayard Nicholas. We won the Tony in 1989 for the best choreographers on Broadway. But yes, it has. It's been a long time. But however, I've met a lot of great people. I've been in a wonderful family, and I knew when somebody offered me a job when I was 16 years old, that was a hard job. I said, I'm gonna have to find something that I don't have to work so hard. So that put me in show business. I've been in it all of my life. I'll be 86 in September. And I feel very fortunate that I'm still able to get up, not early, and stir around in time enough to get up and teach vocal choreography at the dance festival. I also want to thank Diane for instigating that also. She got me started doing that, and now I can't stop. So it's nice to see you all here, and I wish all of you would be in my class tomorrow because you'd have a lot of fun.
And now we'd like to hear from stepbrother Prince Spencer.
But this way,
Let me say, you can walk on him, he does. You know, it's all right.
I started my dancing career in 1933. I born during the Depression. And, my family was a poor family. So I danced on the street corners for nickels and dimes and whatnot. I'd bring change home to my mother, and she would wash it off and put it in a jar, and she would take care of the insurance man. It was 10 cents a week, and all the other short bills. So later on, I found out that my love was dancing. And 1936, I appeared on Major Bowes, and I won the first prize. And I appeared with Major Bowes. He had an all-color review called Major Bowes Dixie Jubilee. And one of the young men in that, one of the men who were in that group was Putney Dandridge, and he was a gentleman who wrote the song Naki Saki. In those days, you'd write a song and you'd sell it, because that was a means of eating. Instead of going through the whole publishing company, they won't let us into that, in fact. So his name was Putney Dandridge. He wrote the song Naki Saki, and he appeared on Major Bowes also. And when Major Bowes would announce him, when Major Bowes would announce Putney Dandridge, he would say, the gentleman who wrote and sold Naki Saki for $25 and sold to Paul Whiteman. And then the intro for his music would be Paul Whiteman's introduction. And the spotlight would come on putting hot ginger and dynamite, all day do it night. Well, I tell this to say this. This was the first show that I was with, Dixie Jubilee, and I found out that I wanted to be a dancer, but I didn't know which style I wanted to dance. So there was a young man dancing, Pete Nugent. He had a very classy style of dancing, and it really just got to me. So I tried to emulate him and do part of it. So when I was doing a single, I did a single until I joined the Step Brothers. I did a single from 36 to 42. And when I was doing a single, I always had Pete Nugent in the back of my mind, how to walk and how to walk off stage. And the Step Brothers needed a member in 1942, and I joined the act, and I'm tickled to death that I did, because it brought great opportunities for me. But the Step Brothers, we couldn't do any individual type dance because we didn't dance that long. It was more of a challenge dance. So I didn't forget about Pete Nugent and do what I could do best, the flips and the splits. There was another dancer that I admired greatly, Raymond Winfield, but I couldn't do his slides. I learned to do 1 or 2 or 3. So those three came as my specialty with the 4 Step Brothers. And then I stayed with the Step Brothers 33 years, and over the years they were called one of America's greatest opening acts. So I stayed with them until I found Red Fox, and we stayed with him 19 years, and that brought me up to date. One more thing. I can't forget this. And I'm glad that my dancing days never came in contact with the dancers of today, because dancing of today has a resurgence of dancing that only Savion Glover could influence on you youngsters, and I can see it. So that's a whole new area that only he is qualified to say that's his dance.
Yeah.
Well, that's really true, because Savion has really brought something to tap that just can't be measured. He has just created this wonderful wave with young people in particular, but everybody loves it. So let's hear from Savion.
Okay. Okay, the first two men I saw tap dance in the flesh were Lon Chaney and Chuck Green. Woo! And they were doing the track. And, you know, I followed Chaney into the dressing room. Well, little did I know my mom was signing me up for tap classes. So, you know, I started going to tap classes on Saturday. Wasn't until 85 years later where I can say I proceeded to get my dance education under the tutelage in Paris. I did 6 months over there. I came back to get my degree, which I haven't gotten yet. I took some courses at the University of Le Cave, where I was under the tutelage of Professor Sly. Yeah, tutelage. I don't know, I've learned and been inspired and continue to learn from everyone on this panel and from all of the dancers at these festivals. And I can talk about my love for the dance and how much I appreciate these men and women for giving me what God has given them. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it it was identifiable?
It was there, wasn't it? It was always there.
There was a distinguishing factor about Xavier. We were talking about how much he wanted it as a kid. You know, at that time, 1984, 85 Paris, there was a different, there were a few kids, and I'm going to put it in this context so that you'll stay with me for the sake of this conversation, because there were people with tap dancing all over the world, but there were a few kids who were tapping in the style of the rhythm masters of the dance form. Do you understand what I mean? There were very few kids who had access to that information. And very few kids, if any. The only ones who had access were people who had, somewhere through this lineage, they came through, and there just weren't very many. Handful.
Yeah.
Savion comes in, and immediately there was something distinguishable about him from the beginning, that you knew he was going to be the one. You knew it, because he had a passion, a thirst, an interest, a desire. right from the very beginning, and it was nonstop. It was something that I've not seen. It was something very special. It was a spirit. It was a spirit.
That's right.
He put the time in.
And that followed. Put the time in. But that came along with it. That wasn't a forced thing. He didn't have to put his time in. He was all about being. He was in the time and the space.
He was the Messiah. That's what
He was. That's what he was.
Because tap dancing was on the rise. It was coming out, but it was going very, very slowly. And God gave us Savion, and you could sit out there for 2 hours and watch those kids tap dancing with all of their heart and soul, and they all look like young Savion. You could see everybody that was influenced by Savion. You know?
But only a select few has that talent, and he came along at the right time, and he just had it. It's his time, and he's the right person to have it.
Can I interject? You're right. But also, so you won't get lost in what we're trying to say, because we don't want to classify, identify, or any of that, because it's still the art that we're all pursuing. He wanted to. First of all, you gotta want it. Simple. You gotta want it. Because if you don't want it, and nobody up there can show you.
Exposure.
Then you take the time. But you can be exposed to everything, but you gotta want it.
That's right.
That's right.
That's for sure.
Never changes. Stay tuned.
Amen.
Jamie, let's talk about you.
Nope. I already told you, I wanted to. Because I saw it all around. I came along at a good time. I came along when there was show business. You hear that back there? There was show business. Theaters, clubs, people performing, doing all sorts of wonderful things, and you went to see them if you were fortunate enough to get that quarter to go to see them. And you could see them 3 or 4 times a day. Then it got too late for you to be out, because they had a couple more for the evening performances. That's 6 or 7 or 8 shows we're talking about. It's true. But they were there, each of those shows, doing it. You could say, whoa, man, yeah, I want, woo, did you see, wow, oh. It made you want to, because it was an evidence, you know what I mean? That's missing somewhat now. And that's the only thing I don't envy. You didn't get a chance, like Henry said, to really see who made me want to. But I hope you see a little bit of what made me want to in me and everybody else. So.
Mr. Fred Kelly.
Yeah, Brett. You finished eating?
I'm never finished. I'd like to talk to you all, but I have a word that I want to say first.
Where'd you go?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right now, these are the people that are keeping a tradition alive. These are the people that have carried the torch. Now it's yours. You dig me? I saw you dance. You're great.
Yeah. You know.
You're a love. You're gorgeous. You thought I was going to say something wrong, didn't you? One of the happiest days of my life, I was the last producer of the famous Roxy Theater where Steve conned us. And on the opening show, I'll clean this up a little bit. Pete knows if you weren't black, you couldn't dance. I mean, you know, Pete looked at me and says, "You're Kelly?" He said, "Show me something." So I did something. He said, "Where'd you learn that?" And I said, "A friend of mine." Every year when Bill Robinson came to Pittsburgh, my mother would pay him cash, and then he would be able to bet on the horses without his wife knowing it. And he always won. So my lesson with Bill Robinson lasted every day of the week. So 1 week out of every year, I played hooky with my mother's permission, and she would write that I had tonsillitis. And the principal of the school wrote my dad a note once, and he said, "You know, I know a doctor that'll take out the tonsils free if you don't have the money." But I was a real little kid, small for my age, and the dancing teachers would put up with me in the class. You know, and I couldn't dance. I'm just a little kid. Everybody else is doing beautiful bar work. I'm there with my fanny sticking out, and the teacher would look at me and wink, you know, and I just thought I was really great, you know. And you got to have that opinion. So they put this big diaper on me and put the banner on me, 1920. And I was Happy New Year with a high hat on. And here it is, New Year's Eve, and everybody's counting down. And I come out on the stage, and all I have to do is nudge the old guy with the big fake beard, and then I'm doing my little dance. 12 o'clock! Everybody's yelling Happy New Year. I thought they didn't know my name. I thought it was all for me, and I thought, God, I love this. I've been with it ever since. Because I'm stupid. Dancing has got me around the world twice. I've been able to work with some great dancers. Rita Hayworth, her uncle was Eduardo Cancino, so that gave me a Spanish background. My brother Gene's ballet was mostly in Chicago, you know, in the Midwest. Yeah. Because you didn't dare take ballet in Pittsburgh, you'd have gotten shot. I wanted to title my book, I think I mentioned to you, we're working Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. It's a mill town. Everybody works in the steel mills. Everybody has their sleeves rolled up with a package of cigarettes stuck in the sleeve. And they walk around with a tire iron. You know, that's to keep them safe on the way home. And here Gene and I go get booked in, and we got silk blouses on, you know, and velvet trousers with, you know, the cut up V's, and they look real good for tap dancing. And the manager of the theater says, "You're not going out for dinner, are you?" Yeah. And I said, "Oh yeah, this restaurant right across the street looks pretty good." He said, "Don't." He said, "I heard some of the boys from the pool room that watch your dancing up in the balcony, and they're waiting for you in the alley." So the drummer in our orchestra works in the steel mills when he can't get a job playing the drums. So he said, "Fred," he said, "I've got a couple baseball bats." He said, "Your brother Jim drew one of the cards." My brother Jim was a football player. He was the oldest one. And we're playing this tough town, and we're going over like, you know, the women were all coming back to see the next show, and we're booked in for the next day, and we're working on a 60-40 split. And if it exceeds a certain amount, the 60 becomes us. Yeah. And the manager of the theater is hating us. Because we're going to get 60, and he's only going to get 40 because, you know, the show was in. Yeah. Well, the trick was I'm supposed to go out, and then these rowdies were going to come down the alley to beat me up, and then Gene would time it to come right behind me. And then my brother Jim would time it to come right behind Gene. And then Carl, the drummer, with the tire iron, he timed it right behind Jim. And then the rest of the orchestra all had baseball bats, and they were all mill workers. So here we come, I come on, almost Nancy. You know, I was 12 years of age, you know. And I come down and I say, "Hi, guys." These guys says, "Well, there's the first sissy we're going to take." And they're coming out. And my brother comes out, and he said, "Oh, here's his brother. There's his brother. We'll get both of them." And they come down, and one kid has knuckles on. I mean, these were not nice people, you know. And they were supposed to be white. They were not nice people. Believe me, they were not nice. And then my brother Jim comes out, and the guy out there says, watch out, the brother has another brother. And then Carl comes out and he says, and there's another. So I was going to name my book, Me Brother and Others. But two of my doctor friends said that wouldn't be dignified for a college professor. The statement, you better find another occupation. I couldn't stop dancing. So I taught in colleges, and I've been a college professor for 34 years, and I taught at a couple of little schools like Princeton and West Point. And right now in the Pentagon, who was in Washington? The McKays were down there and some other people at the Smithsonian. And a little boy who was the first boy to sign up in Closter, New Jersey, because I had to open the studio. I mean, I was reported dead in the New York Times. The New York Times never lies. But a guy by the name of Fred Kelly, whose wife was named Dorothy, died in the worst airplane crash in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. And here's Fred Kelly and his wife Dorothy, and they're from West Virginia, but nobody checked on it. So they sent it to New York, and I was supposed to be the choreographer on High Button Shoes. I had done Best Foot Forward with Gene, with Abbott, and with Irving Berlin. I'd done this in the Army. I lost the Berlin show and the Abbott show in 1 hour, being reported dead. So you're looking at a guy who every 2 years is reported dead. I just want you to know I'm still alive, and I think it's the dancing. 2 years ago I beat cancer. This year I beat valley fever. I cannot talk her, you know. I was married for 54. I was married for 54 years. I used to love when people would say, dancers are all oddballs. You know, Fred Astaire spent his life married. Gene Kelly spent his life married. Balanchine liked being married so much he did it 8 times. You know, he didn't tap very well. So George Church, and George Church always had his wife study with me. So they did Slaughter on 10th Avenue. Balanchine got the credit, but on Too Many Girls, the big tap number in the show, everybody thought Balanchine did a great job. It was George Church. And his wife was in the show, and I taught his wife, and anytime George needed a step, he just copied what his wife was doing, you know, which I thought was pretty cute. But I worked with Frank Harrington, who was a great act in Chicago, played trumpet and tapped. And damn, I was going to finish the story. What story did I leave off?
You can talk
I didn't want to prove it. I just wanted to. You gained it. Hold the card for me. Whenever there were too many dancers on the bill, I used to do acrobatic. I do all the somersaults. Hal Leroy, the first time I danced with the Lambs Club, he said, "You're cheating." I jumped off the stage and did a split. And he said, "Where'd you learn to do that?" I said, "I go to the palace. I see Nicholas."
Thank you very much. I think we better go ahead.
9 o'clock tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. I started to say was the high point of my life was this man who taught my sister Louise every summer called up the Roxy very timidly, and he said, "I've got 2 young boys that are too young to work." He said, "But if they could just get an audition, it would make me feel good, you know." He didn't even know I was over there. Rothafel said, "Hell, I'm not going to waste my time," and he walks out, and here's Gregory Hines, his brother walked in, and they said, "Do you mind if we warm up?" And after they warmed up for about 2 minutes, I said, "Now, do it on the other foot." And he said, "That's what my teacher says." And the one said, "Did you ever tap?" And I said, "Yeah, a little." You know, magicians always say that. You know, I do a little magic. Well, Gregory was 14 years of age. I could have gone to jail, you know, for hiring him. But we put the dad in the act, and we didn't say the Hines kids. We called them Hines, and Dad. Yeah. And right from there, they went to Europe, and Gregory was launched. And after Gregory was launched, Savion was launched, and I feel like a battleship.
Wonderful class today, and you weren't here and you really missed it, by Mr. Shim Sham himself, Leonard Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Good afternoon.
If I start talking about all of the things that I've done, I don't like to talk about me. We'll be here till tomorrow morning. It'll be too late for my class. But I would like to say that I started in show business at a very early age. I was about 7 or 8 in 1914, before World War I. My mother took me to see a show with a very old, talented man by the name of Charlie Atkins. And I've had a varied life. Most of the people on the panel, including Faye and this young lady over here, Honey's wife and Honey and Charlie and all of them, I've either worked with them or they've worked for me in shows. I guess I've produced more shows. I produced the last show at the Cotton Club in New York with Ethel Waters, Duke Ellington, Kathy Galloway, Lena Horne, most of the players. And I also produced the last show at the Apollo with girls before I submitted Honey Coles for the management of the theater. My business, I guess I've done something that no one else here has done or could do. I've been both black and both white. I worked with a very talented young man by the name of Willie Bryant. We started out at an early age. I started in show business per se. I first entered 1915, 1916, but I really got into show business 1922. When the Charleston came out. The Charleston dandies came to my hometown in Kansas City, and I was sold peanut popcorn and candy. I was about 8, 9 years old, and so in a bucket had the Coca-Colas that could barely come around, and they had Charleston contests, and I used to get into the Charleston. Well, that led me to become a Charleston dancer. And when I say I was a Charleston dancer, it will show that I was the national Charleston tap dance champion, Madison Square Garden, 1924. I worked medicine shows, I worked carnivals, I was in a circus. I had even the heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Louis, in a circus. I had him in a circus called Daly Brothers Circus, which we toured the whole continent of Canada. Then I had him on the road with a thing called a big show with Pearl. I put Pearl Bailey in the business. I also put Dinah Washington in the show business. I also put a lot of people that came to me the first time. And on my amateur hour in Chicago in 1938, Dinah Washington came over my show, and I took her into the Rum Boogie. And I said, I want you to sing this song. And Hampton's wife, Gladys, heard her and said, can I take her with me? And that's how Dinah Washington got into the business. As I said, most of these people I've worked with, and I'm so delighted. This is a reunion for me. I haven't seen some of these people in 50 years. I stopped dancing, per se. I stopped dancing in 1933. I was a good tap dancer. I was a wing dancer, and I did down, wings. I did 2 courses of that without breathing. Then my partner and I broke up. Nat Nazara broke our act. Buck and Bubbles became ill, and they needed somebody. He was a fellow who managed a lot of acts: Stump and Stumpy, Chuck and Chuckle, Buck and Bubbles, and so Huck and Huckle. See, Chuck and Chuck, Poke and Poke, Willie Bubbles became ill, and my partner, they put Clark on him. And the white audiences did not know the difference between Willie Bryant and Bubbles. And he said, I'll pay you $50 a week to let Willie work with us for 4 weeks. I said, fine, $50 a week. I'll walk around New York doing nothing. This was in 1930. I said, okay, I'll do nothing for 4 weeks. But 4 weeks went by, Bubbles didn't become well, and he kept 5th week, then the 6th week, then the 7th week, the 8th week, and then Leonard Harper, whom I regard as one of the great producers of all time, put me in a show called Sundown Review, and I played what was called Round the World. You played New York, Newark, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington. And you played it over and over. Unfortunately for us, for all of these people here, we had from coast to coast, from New York to Los Angeles, we had 40, 50 theaters throughout the world. As I said, Will and I, we didn't pass. We went into an agent, William Morris, and said, here's our lobby. Lobby is what you called it then, pictures. You walked in with your pictures in your hand, and we said, this is our lobby. He said, well, let's see how you dance. We said, no, put us somewhere, and if you don't like us, fire us. We didn't do auditions. He put us in Halsted, in Halsted, 63rd Street in Chicago and Halsted, and from there on, we worked for William Morris until one day, at the Riverside Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they called us into the office and he said to us, Reed and Bryant, are you colored? That was the name they used there. See, once they were Negro, then were Negroes, and something else, and then something else. African Americans, Afro Americans. I don't know what to call you. I don't know what to say anymore.
Black.
No, I can't say black either because Cab Calloway wasn't black, Lena Horne wasn't black, Billy Daniels wasn't black. All I can say, and I sent a letter to the NAACP, and this might be an advantage for you to know this. I sent a letter a month ago to the NAACP, and I said, I am not African, I'm not African American, I'm not Afro American, I am an American who happens to have black blood in me. I'm an American. There you go. Nothing more, nothing less. I had a friend, I'm not going to be, I believe in it, I'm not going to be much longer because I believe in that old Chinese proverb, on too long. And I don't want to be. But I just want to be an American. And when he walked in and said, Reed and Bryant, and this was with the Fanchon and Marco unit, that went from Milwaukee to Los Angeles, had 30 weeks of work. We said, yes, we have colored blood. He said, that's it. Right then, we got fired. Bam. They would not let us go in. And from that point on, Will and I became colored. As I said, I think I've done something a little more than they've done because I'm a little older than they are. I'm 92, and I'll be 93 in January. And whether you believe this or not, I have had many, many exciting moments in my life. This being here in, where am I? Being here in Cleveland, being here in St. Louis, surrounded. I have two young ladies here. I invented 2 or 3 things: the backward over the top, the shim sham, the new shim sham, and I invented a step in 1932. This step is still going, and what is it called? Trickeration. Trickeration. I can't do it. I can't do it, but they can do it. You want to do trickeration?
Yeah, do it in the show.
No, we're going to do it in the show. Okay, I want to say this is a great moment for me, and God bless you all. And I want to say to Savion, as I said earlier today, he has done something. I sit and watch him with amazement. I got tapes on him he didn't even know. I showed his mother. She said, you got those tapes? I said, damn right I got them. How am I going to get them? And I taught everything he does. I taught him years ago how to do this thing. And he's doing everything. The only difference is he's doing a little different what I taught him. But I admire him so, and just before I close, for my sake, I can't thank him enough for what he's doing, a new innovation, for all of you young people who give him a nice hand. Because
what used to be dance department has now become a college, the first one in the United States with a tap and jazz, and it's a college of American dance. This is Joe Rowan.
Digest thing. I'm also an American, period. I'm from Oklahoma now because I chose to be. I'm Seneca Iroquois. Ich bin auch Deutsch und Irish und Seneca Iroquois. But I'm really an American. And I've heard the stories Jimmy knows about my grandfather being put on a boat in the wintertime. They shipped twigs and logs to England in the summer, and they shipped my grandfather back in the winter. And he told me, never be ashamed of not being related to a king. He said, Jolene, darling, because I survived a cholera boat, and that means that you're here. And
I got into dancing because I was an exercise boy at a racetrack with a horrible mouth when my mother died and my father didn't know what to do with me. I had loved tap all of my life. So to get to the story, the person who really influenced me as a dancer was Peg Leg Bates, because I could not believe that he could do with three things to make a sound. Not only what everybody else was doing as an artistic, rhythmic person, but then he had this presence, and I was honored to be able to know him in my life. Before I died, I was able to know him, and he is a hero of mine, because despite all that he survived, he was still loving and generous and artistic and a great performer. And I have never been so happy about getting old in my life, because I survived the ballet companies. I went on to be a ballet dancer. I had a Ford Foundation scholarship at the School of American Ballet. I went to Russia on an exchange ballerina, and all of the ballet dancers jumped on the policemen here, and we came home going da 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 da. So, getting to the point of getting older, I have never been around people that I admire beyond my ability to speak. When I walk in a room and someone like Robert gives me the opportunity to be around my family of Americans doing American art, when I know people like Savion for so long and see him grow up so artistic and so nice to everyone despite his genius, when I have people like Melba who are so generous, and everyone here, I don't know how to say how happy I am to be getting older, because it took me all of this trail of walking down those roads to meet my family of Americans. And then I will tell you one more thing, why I'm here. I'm here to share the tricks of ballet dancers, how to do multiple turns, more than one if you want to do many turns like paddle turns, how to jump like the Nicholas brothers, how those things. And I have struggled for 20 years to bring recognition to American artists, the tap and jazz dancers and musical theater dancers of America. This year, we went from being a college, we went from being a department to a college. So that's a Reader's Digest life. Like, anyway, I think you all are fabulous, and I'm happy to be here with you. Yeah.
With the wonderful man who put this all together, who has such a love and spirit of his fellow man. And I wrote a column one time and I said, I think Robert would give up everything except his family to make this happen. It is so important to him, and to have all these people here with all the work that he's done, it's just fabulous, and we all thank you so much. And
Can I just say what I said on the air about Robert today? I said, Robert has done something in St. Louis that's more exciting than the Gas House game of 1920 when the Cardinals won the World Championship. He did something greater than Frontier of bringing the Rams here. And above all, he certainly has done something that's more exciting than Mark McGuire hitting his 70th home run. Speak up.
Use the mic.
Thank you all. But all I did, only thing I did was bring these great people together to you. I was inspired by the spirit and the warmth of all these people in here, everyone in here, I was inspired by. From when I saw Black and Blue, when I went to Black and Blue, I was working at Pig Lake Base Resort on the featured act, and Black and Blue was going on. I used to go. I saw Black and Blue about 15 times, and never paid a dime because I had friends that would sneak me in the show, and I was very inspired by that. All of you all are inspired by them, as I've been inspired by the people here. Right, John? Yes. And they're giving it to you. They're making they make the festival by giving, by the warmth. They never turn you away. They're always there for you. Everybody here, Joe, the man Van, been with me and by me all my life. The first festival was with one person. Does anybody know who that one person was? Savion Glover.
There you go.
I had a one-man festival. And he supported me through all the years. I'm kind of choked up about what went on here, so I'm not as eloquent as I usually am.
Nicely said.
In this situation, but all I want to say is the reason I do it is because of them and because of you all, because of the love that you all, everybody here shows. Everybody here has a spirit that they have, and you're here learning it. Everybody here has a good time. Everybody here, I don't see any animosity. I don't see any fighting. I don't see anything here. All I see here is a family. And that's what this is about. Is there something I should know about this? I see it.
Talk on.
So all I want to say is that, you all are taking away from here more than just steps. You all are taking away from here a spirit. You all are taking away from here a way of life, a way of American life. Here. And tap dancing. Tap dancing. Look at everybody in this room. Tap dancing is the only art form that's brought every ethnicity here, every country here. Look at the old in here with the young. Look at the babies, in all art form you don't see this gathering and everybody here loving and hugging and one another. Everybody here as equals. When I know, I'm here, I feel as an equal but I know that I'm not. You understand what I'm saying? Get here, the festival, and enjoy. I love everybody that comes to my festival. Because you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. And we all make each other. Remember that. I love all you. One other thing. One other thing. This whole festival is dedicated in memory to the great Peg Leg Bass.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never met a gentleman who was as giving as he is. I've never met someone who was kind as he was. He had 3 strikes against him. He's always inspired me. Whenever I get down on myself, and whenever I feel down on myself, I think of Peg Leg Bass. How can I get down? I got 2 good legs. You know what I'm saying? I got two two good hands, you know. I didn't grow up in the time he grew up in, you know. So he had it hard. He had 3 strikes against him. He was black, he was handicapped, and he was poor. And he ended up with a $6 million resort out in Hudson, and was still as humble as anyone, and gave and to everyone here. Everybody walked up to him. You know that, man. You all know the little boys, black and the white, all the white boys, all the little black boys came up to him. Came up to him, right? And just Mr. Bates every 5 minutes. 90 years old. I've never met anyone like him. And we should all cherish his memory, and I would like everybody to just take 30 seconds, silence, and just remember him. Just think about it. Thank you, Mr. $28, $29. Thank you all again. We were going to have a tap jam in there, but it's kind of hot in the hotel. So we're not going to do it. We're going to whoever is having Savion's class at 9 o'clock. We had a band waiting out there for you. Okay? All right, thank you all.
Melba, she's done a lot for, you know, the tap community. That's right. And you know, keeping it alive. So I'm sure we'd like to hear. Absolutely.
Became a fan of jazz music, and I love bebop. That's my real love. I love But anyway, I have a big dancing school in McAllen, Texas, and I've been, you know, at the end of the world, right by Mexico. But in 1980, I have a daughter who was a dancer. She was a scholarship dance student in New York, and a friend of Gregory's. That's how I got to know him. And she was severely head injured and in a coma for a year, and she's been in bed for 19 years now. She can't speak or move, but she has intellect, and she has an eye-gaze computer, and she's getting better. So tap is the joy and the escape in my life, and all of the tap people have given so much to me. My husband was killed in a car wreck in 1971, so I've had a lot of tragedy, but all of you and all of my friends are my extended family, and I just love it. Yeah.